Thank you. Shalom, dear friends from the nation. We welcome you to journey through the scriptures. We are reading the scriptures from Bereshit to Hazon, or Genesis to Revelation, within 40 days. Therefore, we started with the book of Genesis. Now we are in the book of Ezekiel. We are going to start from chapter 1, and by so doing, we ask you that you bear with us and you go through with us from chapter 1 to where we are going to read to the glory and honor of Yahweh. So may you bear with us as we continue reading the scriptures, and Yahweh will bless you. Thank you.
In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, and it came to be in the 13th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th of the month, as I was among the exiles by the river Kebar, the Shamaim were opened, and I saw visions of Elohim. On the 5th of the month, in the 5th year of the sovereign Jehoiachin exile, the word of Yahweh came expressly to Ezekiel, the Kohen, the son of Buzi, in the land of Kasdits by the river Kebar, and the hands of Yahweh came upon him there. And I looked and saw a whirlwind coming out of the north, a great cloud with fire flashing itself, and brightness was all around it. And out of its midst, like glowing metal, out of the midst of the fire. And out of the midst of it came what looked like 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man, and each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot. And they sparkled like the appearance of polished bronze, and under their wings on their 4 sides were the hands of a man, and each of the 4 had faces and wings. Their wings touched one another. They did not turn when they went, but each one went straight forward, and the likeness of their faces, the face of a man, and each of the 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, and each of the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and each of the 4 had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread upward, 2 of each touched one another, and 2 covered their bodies. And each one went straight forward, going wherever the spirit was to go, and they did not turn when they went. And the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of torches moving back and forth among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went lightning. And the living creatures ran back and forth like the appearance of a flash of lightning. And I looked at the living creatures and saw a wheel on the earth beside each living creature with its 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their works was like the appearance of beryl, and all 4 had the same form. The appearance of their works was as it were a whirlwind in the middle of a wheel. When they went in any one of the 4 directions. They did not turn aside when they went. And their rims were high and awesome, and their rims were covered with eyes all around the 4 of them. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Wherever the spirit was to go, they went, because the spirit went, and the wheels were lifted together with them for the spirit of the living creatures was in the whales. When those went, this went. When those stood, they stood. And when these were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up together with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. And a likeness was over the heads of the living creatures, and expanse like the experience of an awesome chryso stretched out over their heads. And under the expanse their wings were straight, one toward another. Each one had two with covered one side, and each one had two with covered the other side of the body. And when they went, I heard the noise of the wings, like the noise of many waters, like the voice of El Shaddai, at a might like the noise of an army. And when they stood still, they let down their wings. And a voice came from above the expanse that was over their heads. When they stood, they dropped their wings. And above the expanse over their heads was the likeness of a throne, in the appearance like a sapphire stone. And on the likeness of the throne was a likeness as the appearance of a man's high above it. And from the appearance of his waist and upward, I saw what looked like glowing metal, with the appearance of fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his waist and downward, I saw what looked like fire and brightness all around, as the appearance of rain, a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the brightness all around it. This was the appearance of the likeness of the esteem of Yahweh, and I saw it. I fell on my face, and I heard a voice of one speaking. Chapter 2. And he said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet, so that I speak to you. And the Ruach entered into me when he spoke to me, and stood me on my feet. And I heard him who was speaking to me. And he said to me, Son of man, I am sending you to the children of Israel, to a nation of rebels who have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me until this day. And the children are stiff of face and hard of heart, to whom I am sending you. And you shall say to them, Thus says the Adon Yahweh. And they, whether they hear or whether they refuse, for they are rebellious house, shall know that an Nabi has been in their midst. And you, son of a man, do not be afraid of them, nor be afraid of their words, though thy souls and domes are with you, and you dwell among scorpions. Do not be afraid of their words, or discouraged by their looks, for they are a rebellious house. And you shall speak my words to them, whether they hear or whether they refuse, for they are rebellious. And you, son of a man, hear what I am speaking to you. Do not be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I am giving you. And I looked and saw a hand stretched out to me, and see, a scroll of a book was in it, and he spread it before me. And it was written on the inside and on the outside, and written on it were lamentations and mourning and woe. And he, chapter 3, me the scroll. And he said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach, and fill your stomach with this scroll that I am giving you. And I ate it, and it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. And he said to me, Son of man, go to the house of Israel, and you shall speak to them with my word, for you are not sent to a people of foreign speech, and of difficult language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of foreign speech and of difficult language, whose words you do not understand. If I had rather sent you to them, they would have listened to you. But the house of Israel is going to refuse to listen to you, for they refuse to listen to me. For all the house of Israel are hard of head and hard of heart. See, I shall make your face as hard as their faces, and your forehead as hard as their foreheads. Like adamant stone, harder than flint, I shall make your forehead. Do not be afraid of them, nor be discouraged at their looks, for they are a rebellious house. Verse 10. And he said to me, Son of man, receive into your heart all my words that I speak to you, and hear with your ears. And go, come to the exiles, to the children of your people, and speak to them, and say to them, Thus saith the Adon Yahweh, whether they hear or whether they refuse. And the Ruach lifted me up, and behind me I heard a voice of great lumbering, Baruch the esteem of Yahweh from his place, and the sound of the wing of the living creatures touching one another, and the sound of the wheels besides them, and the sound of a great rushing. And the Ruach lifted me, and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, while the hands of Yahweh was strong upon me. And I came to the exiles at Tel Abib, who were dwelling by the river Kebar, and I sat where they were sitting, and sat there stand among them 7 days. And it came to be at the end of 7 days that the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and shall warn them from me. When I say to the wicked, you shall certainly die, and you have not warned him, nor spoken to warn the wicked from his weak way, to save his high, that same wicked shall die in his wickedness, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his wickedness, and you have delivered your being. And when a righteous one turns from his righteousness, and shall do unrighteousness, when I have put a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you did not warn him, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he has done is not remembered, and his blood I require at your hand. But if you have warned the righteous one that the righteous should not sin, and he did not sin, he shall certainly live, because he has been warned, and you have delivered your being. And the hand of Yahweh came upon me there, and he says to me, Arise, go out into the plain, so that I might speak to you there. So I got up and went out into the plain, and see, the esteem of Yahweh stood there, like the esteem which I saw by the river Kebara, and I fell on my face. And the Ruach entered me, and stood me on my feet, and spoke with me, and said to me, Go, shut yourself inside your house, and you, O son of man, see, they shall put cords on you, and bind you with them, so that you do not go out in their midst. And I make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth, so that you shall be dumb and not be a reprover to them, for they are a rebellious house. Verse 27, and the last one for chapter 3. But when I speak with you, I open your mouth, and you shall say to them, Thus said the Adon Yahweh, he who hears, let him hear, and he who refuses, let him refuse, for they are a rebellious house.
Ezekiel chapter number 4. And you, son of man, take a clay, a tablet, and you shall lay it before, and it shall inscribe it in a city of Jerusalem, and shall raise siege against it, and build a siege wall against it, and a heap up and a mount against it, and set the camp against it, and praise battering rams against it at all around. Then take an iron plate and set it as an iron wall between you and the city, and you shall set your face against it, and it shall be besieged, and you shall lay a siege against it, and it is a sign to the house of Israel, and lie on your left side, and you shall put the crookedness of the house of Israel on it as many days as you lie on it. You shall bear their crookedness, for I myself have laid it on the ears of the crookedness, according to the number of the days, 390 days, and you shall bear the crookedness of the house of Israel. And it says, when you completed you shall rise again, and your right side, and shall bear the crookedness.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
For I myself have laid on you ears on their crookedness, according to the number of the days, 390, and you shall bear the crookedness of the house of Israel. And when you have completed them, you shall ride again on your right side, and you shall bear the crookedness of the house of Israel, Yehuda, 40 days, a day for a year. I have laid on you a day for a year. Then you shall set your face toward the siege of Jerusalem with your arm bared, and you shall prophesy against it, and see, I shall put cords on you, so that you do not turn from one side to another, until you have completed the days of your siege, and take wheat and barley and beans, and also lentils and millet and spelt, and make bread of them. You shall eat of it as many days as you lie down on your side, 390 days. As your food which you have you eat is to be weighed 20 shekels a day, to be eaten from time to time, and drink water by measure, 1/6 over him, and be drunk from the time to time, and eat of a berry cake, and bake it before the eyes of a human dung. And Yahweh said, even so the children of Israel shall enter and defile the bread among the nations to whom I drive them. Then I said, Master Yahweh, see, I have never defiled myself from the youth till now. I have never eaten what died of itself, or was torn by the beast, nor has unclean meat ever come into my mouth. And he said to me, see, I am giving you the dung of cattle instead of human dung, and you shall prepare your bread over it. And he said to me, O son of man, see, I am going to cut off the supply of the bread of Jerusalem, and they shall eat bread and wait with fear, and drink water and measure with dread, so that they lack bread and water, and shall be appalled with one another. And he consumed in their crookedness. According to the scriptures, the scriptures version, Ezekiel chapter number 5. And you, son of man, take a sharp sword, take it by a barber's razor, and you shall pass it over your head and your beard. And you shall take scales and weigh and divide it, or the hair, burn with fire 1/3 in the midst of the city. When the days of the siege are completed, and you shall take 1/3 and strike around it, and with a sword, and scatter 1/3 in the wind. And I shall draw out a sword after them, and you shall take a few hairs from there, and bind them in the edge of your garment, and take it again to them, some of them, and throw them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire. From it a fire shall spread out, and all the house of Israel. That says Yahweh, Master Yahweh, this Jerusalem which I have sent in the midst of the nations, with other lands of around her. But she rebelled against my right rulings, doing wrong more than the other nation, my laws more than the lands all around her. For they have rejected my right rulings, and they have
walked in my laws. Therefore, that says Master Yahweh, because you have rebelled more than the nations all around you, and have not walked in my laws, nor done my right rulings, nor even done according to the right rulings of the nations all around you. Therefore, that says Master Yahweh, look, I myself am against you, and shall execute judgment in your midst, in your midst before the eyes of the nations, and I shall do among you that I have never done, and like of this I never do again, because of all your abomination. Therefore, the fathers are going to eat their sons in your midst, and sons eat their fathers, and I shall execute judgment, and among you scatter all the remnant to all the winds. Therefore, as I live, declares Master Yahweh, because you have defiled my set apart praise with all your disgusting matters, and with all your abomination. Therefore, I also withdraw, and my eye shall not pardon, nor shall I spare. 1/3 of you shall die of pestilence, and be consumed with the scarcity of food in your midst, and 1/3 shall fall by the sword around you, and I shall scatter another third to all the winds, and draw a sword after them, and my displeasure shall be completed, and I shall bring my wrath to rest upon them, and I shall be seized, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, and Yahweh, as I have spoken it in my ardor, and when I have completed my wrath upon them, and I shall make you a waste and a reproach among the nations that are all around you, before the eyes of all who pass by, and it shall be a reproach, an object of scorn, a warning, and an astonishment of the nations that are all around you, when I execute judgments among you, and displeasure, and in my wrath, and in heated chastisements I, Yahweh, have spoken, when I send against the evil of all scarcity of food, which shall be their own destruction, which I send to destroy you. I shall increase the scarcity of food upon you, and cut off your supply bread, and I shall send against you scarcity of food and of evil beasts, and they shall bereave you, and you pestilence and blood shall pass through you, while I bring the sword against you. I, Yahweh, has spoken. Ezekiel chapter number 6. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward the mountains of Israel, and prophesy against them, and you shall say, O mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Master Yahweh. Thus says the Master Yahweh, to the mountains, to the hills, and to the ravines, and to the valleys, look, I myself am bringing a sword against you, and I shall destroy your high places, and your slaughter places shall be ruined, and your sun pillars shall be broken in pieces, and I shall make you a slain fall in front of your idols, and lay the corpses of the children of Israel in front of their idols, and scatter your bones all around your slaughtering places, and in all your dwelling places in the city shall be destroyed, and the high places deserted, so that your slaughter places are broken and bear their punishment, and your idols shall be smashed and made to cease, and your sun pillars cut down, and your work places brought out, and again the slain shall fall in your midst, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. But I shall leave the remnant in that of some you shall escape by the sword from the nations, and when you are scattered throughout the lands, and those of you who escape shall remember me among the nations where they have been taken captive, because I have broken by their adulterous heart, which have turned away from me, and their eyes, and which hold and after their idols, and shall loathe themselves for evils which they have done in all their abominations. And they shall know that I am Yahweh, and not for naught, and I have spoken to do this evil to them. Thus says Master Yahweh, strike with your hand, and stamp your feet, and say, arise, because of all the evil abominations of the house of Israel, who shall fall by the sword, by the scarcity of food, and by pestilence. He who is afar shall die by the pestilence, and who is near fall by the sword, and he who is left over and besieged die in the scarcity of food, and shall I complete my wrath upon them. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, and when they are slain are among their idols all around, their slaughter places on every high hill, and all the mountains, and every green tree, and under every thick oak, wherever they offered the sweet incense to their idols. And I shall stretch out my hand against them, and make the land a wasteland, even more waste than the wilderness, toward the Deborah and all the dwelling places, and they shall know that I am Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter number 7. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, And you, son of man, this is what Yahweh said to the land of Israel an end. The end has come up upon the four corners of the land. Now the end is upon you, and I shall send my displeasure against you, and judge you according to your ways, and repay you for all your abominations. And my eye shall not pardon you, nor wound I spare, for I repay you your ways while your abominations are in the midst, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, a calamity and only calamity. Look, it has come at the end, an end has come, the end has come. It has awakened against you. Look, it has come. The turn has come to you, O inhabitant of the land. The time has come, a day of uproar is near, and not of rejoicing in the mountains. Soon I shall pour out my wrath, and shall complete my displeasure upon you, and judge you according to your ways, and repay you for all your abominations. And my eyes shall not pardon, nor will I spare. I give you according to the ways while your abominations are in your midst, and you shall know that I am Yahweh who smites you. See, the day, see, it has come, that the turn has come, the road has blossomed, praise has burdened. The violence has grown into a rod of wickedness. There is none of them, and none of its crowd, and none of their riches, and none of their emitment among them. The time has come, the day has arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is on all its crowd. For the seller shall not return to what has been sold, though they are still alive, for the vision is for all its crowd, it shall not turn back, and because of his wickedness, no one holds fast to his life. They have blown the trumpet, and all is prepared, but no one goes to the battle, for my wrath is on the crowd. The sword is outside, and the pestilence and the scarcity of food is inside. He who is in the a field dies by the sword, and he who is in the city scarcity of food and pestilence devour them. While they who escape of them shall escape and be on the mountains like dove, and on the valleys, and all them mourning each for his wickedness. All hands go limp, and all knees become as waters, and they shall get on sackcloth and be covered with trembling, and shall be on every face and baldness, and their heads they throw their silvers into the streets, and their golds become a field. Their silver and their gold is unable to deliver them in the days of the wrath of Yahweh. They do not satisfy their appetite, nor fill their stomach, because it has been their stumbling block of wickedness. And the splendor of his ornament is made in its excellency, but they made from it the image of their abominations and their fitness. Therefore I shall make it like filth to them, and I shall give it for a prey into the hand of the strangers, and into the wickedness of the earth for a spoil, and they shall profane it. And I shall turn my face from them, and they shall profane my secret place, for destroyer shall enter it and profane it. Make a chain for the land, and has been filled with crimes and of blood, and the city has been filled with violence. And I shall bring the evil ones of the Gentiles, and they shall possess their houses, and I shall cause the pride of the strong to cease, and their mikdashim shall be profaned. Destruction shall come, and they shall seek peace, but there is none. Certainly a calamity upon calamity shall come, and report shall be upon report, and they shall seek a vision from a Nabi, but the Torah has perished from the Kohen, and the council from the elders. Let the sovereign mourn, and let the prince of the put on despair, and let the hands of the common people tremble. And I shall deal with them according to their ways, and judge them according to their ways, and judge them according to their own right rulings, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. Ezekiel chapter number 8. And it came to be in the 6th month, in the 6th month, in the 6th year, in the 6th month, on the 5th of the month, as I sat in my house with the elders of Yehudah sitting before me, that the hand of the Yahweh fell upon me, saying, There. And I looked, and I saw a likeness like the appearance of the fire from his waist downwards, and the appearance was like fire, and from his waist and on upward the appearance of brightness like glowing metal. And he stretched out the form of a hand and took me by a block of hair, and the rock lifted me up between my earth and my Shemaim, and brought me in a vision of Elohim to Jerusalem, to the door of the north gate of the inner court, where the seat of the image of the jealousy was, which causes jealousy. And see, the esteem of Elohim of Israel was there, like the vision that I saw in the plains. And he said to me, Son of man, please lift your eyes towards the north. And I lifted my eyes to northwards, and north of the altar gate, and saw the image of jealousy in the entrance. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The great abomination which the house of Israel are doing here, dividing me away from my Mikdash, and you are to see still greater abomination. Then he brought me into the door of the court, and I looked and saw a hole in the wall. And he said to me, Son of man, please dig into the hole. And when I dug into the wall, I saw a door. And he said to me, Go in and see the evil abominations which they are doing there. And I went and looked and saw all kind of creeping creatures, abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel, carved all around on the walls. And facing them stood 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel, and in their midst stood Ezekiel, son of Shaphan. Each one had a censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel are doing in the dark, each one of them in the room of his idols? For they say, Yahweh does not see us, Yahweh has forsaken the land. And he said to me, You are to see still greater abominations which they are doing. And he brought me into the door of the north of the gate of the house of Yahweh, and I saw women sitting there weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, Have you seen this, O son of man? You are to see greater abomination than this. And he brought me into the inner court of the house of Yahweh, and there at the door of the hekal of Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their back towards the hekal of Yahweh, and their faces towards the east, from there bowing themselves eastward to the sun. And he said to me, Have you seen, O son of man? Is it a small matter to the house of Yehudah to do the abomination which they have done here? For they have filled their land with violence and turned back to provoke me, and they are putting the branch of my nose. Therefore I shall indeed deal in wrath. I shall not pardon, nor will I spare, and they shall cry in my ears with a loud voice, but I shall not hear them. Ezekiel chapter number 9. And he called out in the hearing with a loud voice, saying, Let the punishers of the city draw near, each with his own weapon destruction in his hand. And look, 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each of his battle sticks in his hand, and one man in their midst was clothed with linen, and had a retus in horn at his side, and they came in and stood beside the bronze altar. And the esteem of Elohim of Israel went up from the cherub where it had been to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's ink horn at his side. And Yahweh said to him, Pass on into the midst of the city, and to the midst of Jerusalem, and you shall put a mark on the forehead of the man who sighs and cry over all abominations that are done within it. And to others he said in my hearing, Pass on into the city after him and smite. Do not let your eye pardon nor spare. slay to destruction old, young men, maiden, and the children of women, but do not come near anyone upon whom is the mark. And begin at my Mikdash. So they began with the elders who were in front of the house. And he said to them, defile the house and fill the court with the slain. Go out. They went out and smote the city. As they were smiting them, it came to be that I was alone left, and I fell on my face and cried out and said, Yahweh, are you destroying all the remnant of Israel in pouring out your wrath on Jerusalem? And he said to me, the wickedness of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great, and the land is filled with bloodshed, and the city filled with that which is wrapped. For they shall say, Yahweh has forsaken the land, and Yahweh is not seen. But as for me, my eyes shall not pardon, nor will I spare. I shall recompense their deeds on their own head. And see the man clothed with linen, who had the inkhorn on his side, reported back and said, I have done as you have commanded me.
Ezekiel chapter 10. And I looked and saw in the expanse that was above the head of the cherubim, like a sapphire stone, having the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spoke to the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in among the wheels under the cherub, and fill your hands with coals of fire from among the cherubim, and scatter over the city. And he went in before my eyes. And the cherubim were standing on the south side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. And the esteem of Yahweh went up from the cherub over the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was filled with the brightness of the esteem of Yahweh. And the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard in the outer court, like the voice of El Shaddai when he speaks. And it came to be, when he commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, Take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim, that he went in and stood beside the wheels. And the cherub stretched out his hand from among the cherubim to the fire that was among the cherubim, and took some and put it into the hands of the man clothed with linen, and who took it and went out. And the form of a man's hand was seen under the wings of the cherubim. And I looked and saw 4 wheels beside the cherubim, 1 wheel beside each cherub, and the wheel's appearance was like the color of beryl stone. As for their appearance, all 4 looked alike, and as if a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went on their 4 sides. They did not turn aside when they went, but went in the direction of the head was facing. They did not turn aside when they went, and their entire bodies, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels that the forehead were covered with eyes all around. The wheels were called in my hearings wheel, and each one had 4 faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face the face of a man, and the third face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. And the cherubim were lifted up. It was the living creatures I saw by the river Kebar. And when the cherubim went, the wheels went beside them. And when the cherubim lifted their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also did turn from beside them. When they stood still, the wheels stood still. And when one was lifted up, the other lifted itself up. For the spirit of the living creatures was in them. And the esteem of Yahweh went from the threshold of the cherubim and stood over the cherubim. And the cherubim lifted their wings and rose from the earth before my eyes. And when they went out, the wings were beside them. And he stood at the door of the east gate of the house of Yahweh. And the esteem of Elohim of Israel was above them. And it was the living creatures I saw under the Elohim of Israel by the river Kebar, and I knew they were cherubim. Each one had 4 faces, and each one 4 wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings, and the likeness of their faces were the same as the faces which I had seen by the river Kebar. Their appearances and themselves, each one well straightforward.
Ezekiel chapter number 11, and the word of Yahweh says, "And the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the house of Yahweh, which faces east, and see at the door of the gate were 25 men, among whom I saw Yazaniah, son of Azul, and Parataniah, son of Benayahu, heads of the people. And he said to me, Son of man, these are the men who plot wickedness and give evil counsel in this city, who are saying, It is not near, let us build houses. The city is the cooking pot, and we are the meat. Therefore prophesy against them, prophesy, O son of man. And the Spirit of Yahweh fell upon me and said to me, Speak, thus says Yahweh, then thus you have said, O house of Israel, for I know what comes in your spirit, and you have increased your strain in this city, and filled its streets with the strain. Therefore, thus says the Master Yahweh, your strain whom you have laid in its midst, they are the meat, and this is the cooking pot, but I shall bring you out of the midst of it. You have feared the sword, and I bring a sword upon you, declares the Master Yahweh. I shall bring you out of the midst and give you into the hands of the strangers, and execute judgments on you. By the sword you fall, and at the border of Israel I judge you. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. This city is not your cooking pot, nor are you the meat in its midst. At the border of Israel I'll judge you. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. I am Yahweh, for you have not walked in my laws, nor executed my right rulings, and you have done according to the rulings of the nations which are all around you. And it came to be, while I was prophesying, that Petariah, son of Benaiah, died, and I fell on my face and cried out with a loud voice and said, Ah, Master Yahweh, are you making an end of the alignment of Israel? And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, your brothers, your relatives, your kinsmen, and all the house of Israel, of all of it, and all the house about, whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, Keep far from Yahweh. This land has been given as a possession. Therefore say, Thus says Master Yahweh, although I have sent them far off among the nations, and although I have scattered them among the lands, yes, I was for them set apart, the praise for a little while in the lands of which they came. Therefore say, thus says the Master Yahweh, I shall gather you from the peoples and the lands, and I shall assemble you from the lands where you have been scattered, and I shall give you in the land of Israel. And they shall go there and shall take away its disgusting matters and its all abominations from there, and I shall give them one heart and put a new spirit within you, and I shall take the stony heart out of their flesh and give them a heart of flesh, so that they walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and shall do to them, and they shall be my people, and they shall be the Elohim. But to those who start walk after the heart of their disgusting matters and the abomination, I shall recompense their deeds on their own heads, declares the Master Yahweh. And the cherubim lifted up their wings with the wheels beside them, and the esteem of Elohim of Israel was high above them, and the esteem of Yahweh went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountains which is on the east side of the city. And the Spirit lifted me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Elohim of Kasdima to those in exile. And the vision that I have seen went up from me, and I spoke to those in exile of all the words of Yahweh which he has shown me.
Ezekiel chapter number 12. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, you are dwelling in the midst of a rebellious house. They have said they have eyes to see, but they have not seen. They have ears to hear, but they have not heard. For they are a rebellious house. Therefore, son of man, prepare your baggage for exile, and go into the exile by the day before their exile, and you shall go from your place into exile to another place before their eyes. It could be that they see, and though they are a rebellious house, and you shall bring out your baggage from exile before their eyes by day, and at the evening go before their eyes, look like those who go into exile, dig through the wall before their eyes, and you shall carry out through it. Take them on your shoulders and bring them out at dark before their eyes. Cover their face so that they do not see the land, for I have made you a sign to the house of Israel. And so I did, and I was commanded, and I brought out my baggage by day, and at the evening I dug through the wall with my hand. I brought them out of the dark, and I took them on my shoulder before their eyes. And in the morning the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, did not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, say to you, What are you doing? Say to them, Thus says Yahweh, this message is to the prince of Jerusalem and all the house of Israel who are in their midst. Say, I am assigned to you, and I have done so it done to them. They are to go in exile into captivity. And the prince who is in their midst is to bear his baggage and his shoulder at the dark and go out. They are to dig through the wall and bring them out through it. He is to cover his face so that he does not see the land with his eyes, and I shall spread my net over him, and he shall be caught in my snare. And I shall bring him to Babel, the land of the Chaldeans, but he shall not see it, and yet did there. And I shall scatter to every wind all who are around him, to help him and all his hand, and I shall draw out the sword after them, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, when I scatter them out among the Gentiles, and I shall disperse them throughout the land. But I shall let a few of the men escape from the sword, from the scarcity of food, and from a pestilence, so that they recount all their abominations among the Gentiles wherever they go, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, eat bread with trembling, and drink water with fear and with anxiety. And you shall say to the people of the land, Thus says Yahweh, to the inhabitant of the Jerusalem and to the land of Israel, let them eat their bread with anxiety and drink their water with astonishment, for her land is emptied and all who are in it, because of the violence of all those who dwell in it. And the cities there that are inhabited that shall be laid waste, and the land shall become a wasteland, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, what is this proverb that if the people have brought the land of Israel, which says, the day go by, and every vision shall come to naught. Therefore say to them, Thus says Yahweh, I shall make this proverb to cease, so that they no longer use it as a proverb.
Ezekiel chapter 13. And the word of Yahweh came, saying, Son of man, Nabah against the Nabim of Israel, who prophesy, and say to those who prophesy of their own heart, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus say Yahweh, who to the foolish Nabim, who are following their own spirit without having a vision. O Israel, your prophets have been like foxes among rains. You have not gone up into the breaches, nor do you build a wall for the house of Israel to stand in the battle on the day of Yahweh. The visions are false, and their divinations are lie, saying thus declares Yahweh. When Yahweh has not sent them, yet they express the word to be confirmed. Have you not seen a false vision? And have you not spoken a divination of lies? You say, declares, when I have not spoken. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, because you have spoken falsehood and seen lies, therefore, see, I am against you, declares the Master Yahweh. My hand shall be against the Nebim who see falsehood and who divine lies. They shall not be in the council of my people, nor be written in the record of the house of Israel. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am the Master Yahweh. Because they have led my people astray, saying, peace, when there is no peace, and when one is building a wall, see, they are coating it with whitewash. Say to those who coat it with whitewash, it shall fall. There shall be flooding rain, and it shall all great hailstones fall, as stormy wind breaks it down. And see, the wall shall fall. Shall you not be asked, where is the coating which you coated it? Therefore thus said the Adon Yahweh, I shall break down with a stormy wind in my wrath, and a floody rain in my displeasure, and great hailstone in wrath to consume. And I shall draw down the wall you have coated with whitewash, and bring it down to the ground, and its foundation shall be uncovered, and it shall fall, and it shall be consumed in the midst of it. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. So I shall complete my wrath on the wall, on those coating it with whitewash, and say to you, the wall is no more, nor those whitewashing it. The Nebim of Israel who prophesy concerning Jerusalem, and who are seeing visions of peace for her when there is no peace, declares the Master Yahweh. And you, the son of man, turn your face against the daughters of your people who prophesy out of their own height, and nabah against them. You shall say, this is what the Master Yahweh said, who to those sewing pads for all joints of the hands, and to those making nettings for the heads of every head, to trap beings, you shall trap the beings of my people, while you preserve your own beings. And you have profaned me among my people for a handful of barley and for pieces of bread, to put to death beings that should not die, and to keep alive beings that should not live. By your lying to my people who listen to liars. Therefore, thus says Master Yahweh, see, I am against your pads by which you trap the beings there like birds, and I shall tear them from your arms, and shall let the beings go, the beings you trap like birds, and I shall tear off your nettings, and shall deliver my people out of your hand, and they shall no longer be as prey in your hand, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Because with falsehood you have made the heart of the righteous sad, whom I have not made sad, and you have strengthened the hands of the wicked, so that he does not turn from his evil way, to keep him alive. Therefore you shall no longer see false visions, nor practice divinations, and I shall deliver my people out of your hands, and you shall know that I am Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter number 14, the word says, and some of the elders of Israel came to me, and I, Yahweh, have deceived the prophet, and shall stretch out my hand against him, and prophesy him from the midst of my people Israel. And they shall bear their crookedness, and the crookedness of their prophet in the same as the crookedness of the inquirer. And so that the house of Israel no longer strays from me, nor be made unclean anymore with all their transgression, and they shall be my people, and I shall be the Elohim, declares Master Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came again to me, saying, Son of man, when a land sins against me to commit a trespass, and I shall stretch out my hand against it, and cut its supply of bread, and send scarcity of food, and cut of man and beast from it, even though these three men, Noach, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they will deliver only themselves by their righteousness, declares the Master Yahweh. And if I cause an evil beast to pass through the land, and it shall be bereaved, and it shall be a wasteland, so that no man passes through because of the beast. Even though these three men were in it, as I live, declares the Master Yahweh, they will deliver neither sons nor daughters. They alone will be delivered, but the land be wasted. Or if I bring the sword on that land, and I shall say, sword, go through the land, and I shall cut off a man of the beast from me. Even though these three men were in the midst, as I live, declares the Master Yahweh, they will deliver neither sons nor daughters, nor the alone who will be delivered. Or if I send a pestilence into the land, I shall pour out my wrath on it, and the blood, and to cut it from its man and beast. And even though Noach, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, declares the Master Yahweh, they will deliver neither nor son nor daughter. They will deliver their own lives, and by their righteousness. For that says Master Yahweh, how much more it shall be when I send my four evil judgments on Jerusalem, the sword, the scarcity of food, and evil beast, and pestilence, to cut off a man and beast from it. But see, there shall be left in a remnant who are blot out both sons and daughters, and see, they are coming out to you, and you shall see their ways and their deeds, and shall be comforted concerning the evil which I brought upon Jerusalem, and all that I have brought upon it. And they shall comfort you when you see their ways, their deeds, and you shall know that it was for naught that I have done. Whatever I did in it, declares the Master Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter number 15. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, how is the vine tree better than any tree? The vine branch that has been among the trees of the forest. Is the wood taken from it to be made into any work? Do they take a peg from it to hang any vessel on? See, into the fire it shall be given for fuel. Both ends of it the fire shall burn, and its middle shall be scorched, and its feet for any work. See, when it was intact, it was not made for work. How much less when the fire has burned it, and it is scorched, shall it be used for work? Therefore, thus says Yahweh, as the vine trees among the trees of the forest, which I have given to the fire for fuel, so I shall give the inhabitant of Jerusalem, and I shall turn my face against them. They shall go out from one fire, but another fire consume them. And they shall know that I am Yahweh, who turned my face against them. And I shall make the land of a wasteland, because they committed trespass, declares Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter 16. Again the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, make known to Jerusalem her abominations, and say, Thus said the Master Yahweh to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are from the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother a Hittite. As for your birth, on the day you were born, your navel cord was not cut, nor were you washed in water for cleansing, and you are not rubbed with salt at all, nor robed in cloth at all. And I said to you in your blood, live. And I said to you in your blood, live. I have let you grow like a plant in the field, and you are grown and are great. and you have come in the finest ornament. Again I passed by you and looked upon you, and saw that your time was the time of love. And I spread my entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine, declares the Master Yahweh. And I washed you in water, and washed off your blood, and anointed you with oil. And I dressed you in embroidered work, and gave you sandals of leather. And I robed you in fine linen, and covered you with silk. And I adorned you with ornaments, and I put bracelets on you, and a chain on your neck, and I put a ring on your nose, and earrings on your ears, and a crown of adorning on your head. Thus you were adorned with gold and silver, and your dress was of fine linen and silk and embroidered cloth. You ate fine flour and honey and oil, and you were exceedingly pretty, and became fit for royalty. And your name went out among the nations because of your loveliness, for it was perfect for my splendor which I had put on you, declares Master Yahweh. But you trusted in your own loveliness and world because of your name, and poured out your warnings on everyone passing by who would have it. And you took some of your garments and made multicolored high places for yourself, and word on them which should not have come about, nor shall it be. And you took your splendid adornment and my gold and my silver, and I gave you, and made for yourself images of a male, and hoard with them. And you took your embroidered garment and covered them, and you put my oil on my incense before them. And my food which I gave you, fine flour and oil and honey, which I fed you, you put it before them as a sweet incense, and so it was, declares the Adon Yahweh. And you took your sons and your daughter, whom you bore to me, and this you slaughtered as food to them. Were your warnings a small matter, that you have slain my children, gave them up to them by causing them to pass through the fire? And in all your abominations and warnings, you did not remember the days of your youth, when you were naked and bare, trampled down in your blood. Then it came to be, after all your evil, woe, woe to you, declares Yahweh, that you also build an place for yourself, and made a high place in every street for yourself. You build your high places at the head of every way, and made your loveliness to be loathed, and you parted your legs to everyone who passed by, and increased your warnings. And you warred with the sons of Mizraim, your neighbors, great of flesh, and you increased your warnings to provoke me. And see, I have stretched out my hands against you, and withdraw your portions, and gave you up to the desire of those who hate you, the daughters of Pelishtites, who are ashamed of your wicked way. And you warred with the sons of Ashur without being satisfied, and you warred with them and still were not satisfied. And you increased your warnings as far as the land of traders, Kasdim, and even then you are not satisfied. How weak is your heart, declares Yahweh, seeing you do all this, the deeds of a shameless war. You build your arched place at the head of every way, and you build your high place in every street. Yet you are unlike a whore, you scorn the hire, the wife who commits adultery, who takes strangers instead of her husband. To all hosts they give gifts, but you gave gifts to all your lovers, and bribed them to come to you from all around in your warnings. Thus you are different from other women in your warrings, because no one was after you. And in you giving a hire, while a hire was not given to you, thus you are different. Therefore, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus you said the Adon Yahweh, because your copper was poured out and your nakedness uncovered in your warrings with your lovers and with the idols of your abominations, and because of the blood of your children which you gave to them. See, I'm gathering all your lovers with whom you took pleasure, all those who loved, with all those who hated, and I shall gather them from all around against you, and shall uncover your nakedness to them, and they shall see all your nakedness, and I shall judge you with judgment of adultery and shedders of blood, and I shall bring on you the blood of wrath and jealousy, and I shall give you into their hands, and they shall draw your act place down, and they shall break down your high places, and they shall strip you of your garments, and they shall take your splendid adornment, and leave you naked and bare, and they shall bring you up an assembly against you, and they shall stone you with stones and thrust you through their swords, and burn your houses with fire, and execute judgments on you before the eyes of many women. And I shall make you stop warring and no longer give hire. So I shall bring my wrath to rest upon you, and my jealousy shall turn away from you, and I shall be calm and no longer be wroth, because you did not remember the days of but troubled me with all this. So see, I shall also bring you away on your own head, declares Yahweh, and I shall not do this though for all your abominations. See, all who use proverbs shall use the proverbs against you, like mother, like daughter. You are your mother's daughter, who despises her husband and her children, and you are the sister of your sisters, who despise their husbands and their children. Your mother have a Hittite, and your father an Amorite. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite, and your elder sister is a Shemoron, she and her daughter, who is dwelling to the north of you, and your younger sister, who is dwelling to the south of you, is Sodom and her daughters. And have you not walked in their ways and did according to their abomination? But in all your ways you soon became more corrupt than they. As I live, declares Yahweh, neither your sister Sodom nor her daughters have done as you and your daughters have done. See, this was the wickedness of your sister Sodom. She and her daughter had pride, sufficiency of bread, and unconcerned ease, and she did not help the poor and needy, and were haughty and did abomination before me. And I took them away when I saw it. And Shemoron did not commit half of your sins, but you have increased your abomination more than they. And by all the abomination which have done, you made your sisters seem righteous. You also, who pleaded for your sisters, bear your own shame, because the sins which you committed were more abominable than theirs. They are more righteous than you. So be ashamed too, and bear your own shame, because you have made your sisters' sins righteous. And I shall turn back their captivity, the captivity of Sodom and her daughter, and the captivity of Shomerom and her daughters, and the captivity of your captives with them, so that they bear your shame, and shall blush for all that you did when you comforted them. And your sisters Sodom and her daughters returned to their former state, and Shomerom and her daughter returned to their former state, and you and your daughters returned to your former state. Was not your sister Sodom a byword in your mouth in the days of your pride, before your evil was exposed, as the time of the reproach of daughters of Aram and all who around her, and of daughters of Philistines who are despising you everywhere? You shall bear and your abominations, declares Yahweh. For thus says the Adon Yahweh, I shall deal with you as you have done, in that you have despised the oath by breaking the covenant. But I shall remember my covenant with you in the days of your youth, and I shall establish an everlasting covenant with you, and you shall remember your ways and be ashamed when you receive your older and your younger sister, and I shall give them to you for daughters, though not by your own covenant. And I myself shall establish my covenant with you, and you shall know that I am Yahweh, so that you remember, and you shall be ashamed, and never open your mouth any more because of your shame, when I pardon you for all you have done, declares Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter number 17. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, put forth a riddle and speak a parable to the house of Israel, and you shall say, Thus says the Master Yahweh, the great eagle with the large wings and long pinions, covered with feathers and various colors, and of the come to Babylonia and took the top of the. He plucked off the topmost of its young and twigs and brought to a land of traders. In a city of merchants, he pressed it. He also took some of the seed of the land and planted it in a field for seed, and took it by many waters. It's like the willow tree. And so it grew and became a low-spreading vine, and its branches stand toward him, and its roots were under it, and because of the vine, and brought forth branches and sent out shoots. And there was another eagle, and see, the vine bent on the roots toward him, and stretched its branches toward him, and the waters it away. And from the beds where it was planted in a good field with many waters, and bring many branches. It was planted in a good field of many waters, to bring forth branches, and to bear fruit, to be a splendid vine. That says, thus says the Master Yahweh, it is going to thrive. He is not going to pull up its roots, to cut off its fruit and let it wither, and all its sprouting leaves wither, without the great power of many people to pluck it out by its roots. And see, it is planted, it is going to thrive. Will it not utterly wither when the east wind touches it? Wither in the beds where it grows. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Please say to the rebellious house, do you not know what this means? See, the sovereign of Babel went to Jerusalem and took its sovereign and the heads, and brought with them to him, to Babel. And he took of the loyal seed and made it a covenant with him, and put him under oath. And he took away the mighty one of the land, and the sovereign would be brought low, and not lift itself up, and the guard of his covenant, that it might stand. But he rebelled against him by sending his messengers of Mizraim, and to give him horses and many people. And shall he thrive? Shall he escape who is doing this? And shall he break a covenant, shall still escape? As I live, declares the Master Yahweh, in this place where the sovereign dwells, who set it up to the rain, whose oath is he despised, and whose covenant he broke, and which is in the midst of Babel, shall die. And Pharaoh with a great army and a great company is not going to be help him to in battle, when they heap a siege among and building wall, and a cut of many banks, and he despised the oath breaking of the covenant. And see, he has given his hand, and he has done, and all this he is not going to escape. Therefore, that says Master Yahweh, as I leave my oath which he has despised, and my covenant which has broken, shall I put in his own head, and I shall spread my net and over him, and he shall be taken in my snare, and I shall bring him to Babel, and to enter into judgment with him there the trespass which he has committed against me, and of all the fugitives of his hands, and fall by the sword of those who are left, scattered to every wind. And you shall know that I am Yahweh has spoken. Thus says the Master Yahweh, I shall take off the top of the highest cedar of the set it out, and I myself shall pluck off the tender or one from the topmost of its young twigs, and plant on a high and lofty mountain, and on the mountain of head of Israel I plant it, and it shall be bring forth the branches and bear fruit, and become a big cedar, and under it dwell birds of every sort of the shadow of its branches, and they shall dwell, and all the trees of the field shall know that I am Yahweh, and I brought down the high tree, and exalted the low tree, and dried up the green tree, and made the dry tree flourish. I, Yahweh, has spoken, shall do it. Ezekiel chapter number 18 verse number 1, he says, and the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, what do you mean when you use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten the sour grapes, and the children till they are planted? And as I live, declares the Master Yahweh, you shall no longer use this proverb in Israel. See, all beings are mine, a being of the Father, as well as the being of the Son of mine is mine. The being that is sinning shall die. But if a man is righteous, and shall do right ruling in righteousness, and if he has not eaten the mountains, nor lifted up his eyes to idols of the house of Israel, nor defiled his neighbor's wife, nor has come near to a woman during her uncleanness, if he does not oppress anyone, does return to the debt, nor commit robbery, does give his bread to the hungry, and covers the naked with a garment, and if he does not end interest nor take increase, and turns back his hand in the righteousness to execute right ruling in truth between man and man, and if he walks in my laws, and he has guarded my right rulings in truth, he is righteous, he shall certainly live, declares the Master Yahweh. But if he has brought forth a son who is a robber, or a shedder of blood, who does any of this, whereas he himself did not do any of this, that also he has eaten of the mountains, and defiled his neighbor's wife, and he has oppressed the poor needy, he committed robbery, he does not return approach, he has lifted his eyes to the idols, and did abomination, he have sent lent or interest, or taken increase, shall he live? Shall he not die? If he has done any abomination, and he shall certainly die, and his blood is upon him, because see, if he has brought forth a son who sees all the things which his father has done, but he fears and does not do likewise, has not eaten the mountains, and has not lifted his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, and has not defiled his neighbor's wife, and has not oppressed anyone, nor withheld a pledge, nor committed a robbery, has given his bread to the hungry, and covered his naked with a garment, turns back his hand wrong from the wronging the poor, and he has not taken interest or increase, and executed my right rulings, and walked my laws, and he shall not die for the crooked of his father, he shall certainly live. His father, because he used oppression and robbed his brother, and did what was not good among his people, he shall die for his crookedness. And you said, why should the son not bear the crookedness of the father? But the son has done right ruling and righteousness. He has guarded all my laws, and he does them. He shall certainly live. The being sins shall die. The son shall not bear the crookedness of the father, and nor the father bear the crookedness of the son. The righteousness of the righteous is upon himself, and the longness of the long is upon himself. But the long, if he turns from all his sins which he has done, and he shall guard of all my laws, and shall do right ruling, and my righteousness, he shall certainly live, and die, and all the transgression which he has done, and all not remembered against him in his righteousness that he has done, he shall live. Have I any pressure in the death of a wrong? Declares the Master Yahweh. Is it not that he should turn from his ways and live? But when a righteous one turns away from his righteousness, and does unrighteousness according to all the abominations that the long one has done, shall he live? Or righteousness which he has done shall not be remembered? For this trespass which he has committed, and for his sin which he has committed, for them he shall die. And you said, the way of Yahweh is not right. Hear now, O Israel. My way is not right, and it is not your ways that shall not right. When the righteous turns away from his righteousness, and does unrighteousness, and he dies in it, of because he is unrighteous, which he has done, that he dies. And when the long turns away from the long, which he has done, and he does right ruling, and the righteousness shall keep himself alive, because he ceases and turns from all transgression which he has done, and he shall certainly live, he shall not die. And the house of Israel has said, the way of Yahweh is not right, and my ways are not right. because of the house of Israel. Is it not your ways that are not right? Therefore I judge, O house of Israel, everyone according to his ways, declares the Master. Repent and turn back from all your transgression, and let not crookedness be a stumbling block to you. Cast away all your transgressions, and by which you have transgressed, and make for yourself a new heart and a new spirit, for which you should die. Or for why should you die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of the one who dies, declares the Master Yahweh. So turn back and live. Ezekiel chapter number 19 verse number 1. The word of Yahweh says, and take a lamentation for the leaders of Israel, and you shall say, what a lioness of your mother among the lions, she lay down among the lions in the midst of young lions reared in the cubs, and she brought to one of her cubs, and he became a young lion, and he landed to tear the prey and devour them. The nations heard of him. He was caught in their pit, and they brought him with chains to the land of Mizraim. And when she saw as they waited that her expectancy was lost, and she took another of her cubs and made him a young lion, and he went about among the lions and became a young lion in the land, and to tear the prey he devoured men, and he know where they are widows and laid waste in the cities, and the land of all of who filled it was tuned by the noise of the roaring, and the nations set against him from the provinces on every side, and spread the net over him. He was caught in the pit, and they put him in chains, and brought him to the sovereign of Babel. They brought him in nets, and his roll was no longer heard. And the mountains of Israel, your mother was like a vine in your vine waters, and bearer of the fruits, and branching because of many waters, and she held strong rods and scepters of rulers, and her stature, and exalted among the thick branches, and was seen in her height with the mass of the branches. But she was uprooted in wrath, she was cast down in the ground. To the east wind dried her fruit. Her strong rods were broken, and withered fire consumed them. And now she is planted in the wilderness, in a dry and thirsty land, and fire went out from the Lord of her branches, and devoured her fruit, and sees that has no strong Lord, a scepter to rule. And this is a lament, and it shall be a lament.
Ezekiel chapter number 21, chapter number 20. And it came to be in the 7th year, in the 5th month of the 10th of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire Yahweh, and sat before me. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the elders of Israel, and say to them, Thus says Yahweh, have you come to inquire of me? As I live, as I am not inquire, as I live, I am not being inquired of by you, declares Yahweh. Judge them, son of man, judge them, make them known to be the abomination of their fathers. And you shall say to them, Thus says Yahweh, on the days when I chose Israel, and lifted my hand in an oath to the seed of the house of Jacob, and made myself known to them, and in the land of Mitzrayim I lifted my hand in an oath to them, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim. On that day I lifted my hand in an oath to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim into a land that I had searched out for them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all land. And I said to them, each one of you, throw away the abominations which are before the eyes, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. But they rebelled against me, and would not obey me. All of them did not throw away the abominations which were before their eyes, nor did not forsake the idols of Mitzrayim. So I resolved to pour out my wrath on them, to complete my displeasure against them in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim. But I acted for my name's sake, that it should not be profaned before the eyes of the Gentiles among whom they were, before whose eyes I had made myself known to them, to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. So I took them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and I brought them into the wilderness. I gave them my laws, and showed them my right rulings, which if a man does, he shall live by them. And I also gave them my Shabbatot to be a sign between them and me, to know that I am Yahweh, who make them kadosh. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my laws, and they rejected my right rulings, which if a man does, he shall live by them, and they shall greatly profane my Sabbaths. Then I said, would I pour out my wrath on them in the wilderness to consume them? But I acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the Gentiles, before whose eyes I had brought them out. And I myself also lifted my hand in an oath to them in the wilderness, not to bring them into the land of which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, the splendor of all the earth, because they rejected my right rulings, did not walk in my laws, and profaned my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. And my eyes pardoned them for destroying them, and I did not them in the wilderness. And I said to their children in the wilderness, do not walk in the laws of your father, nor observe their rulings, nor defile yourselves with their idols. I am Yahweh your Elohim, walk in my laws and guard my right rulings and do them, and kadosh my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, to know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. But the children rebelled against me. They did not walk in my laws and my right rulings. They did not guard to do them, which if a man does, he shall live by them. They profaned my Sabbaths, so I resolved to pour out my wrath on them, to complete my displeasure against them in the wilderness. But I held back my hand and acted for my name's sake, not to profane it before the eyes of the Gentiles, before whose eyes I had brought them out. Also I myself lifted my hand into an oath to those in the wilderness, to scatter them among the Gentiles and disperse them throughout their lands, because they had not done my right rulings, and they rejected my laws, and they profaned my Sabbaths, and their eyes were not on their idols. And I also gave them up to my laws, and they were not good, and right rulings by which they would not live. And I defiled them by their own gifts, and they passed all their firstborn through the fire, so that I may stand them, so that they know that I am Yahweh. Therefore, Son of man, speak to the house of Israel, and you shall say to them, thus Yahweh, in this your father reviled me by committing trespass against me, when I brought them into the land of which I had lifted my hand in an oath to give them, and they saw all the high hills and all the thick trees, and they offered their slaughtering there, and provoked me with their offering there. And they sent up the sweet fragrance there, and poured out their drink offering there. And I said to them, what is this high place to which you go? So its name is called Bana to this day. Therefore says to the house of Israel, thus says Yahweh, are you defiling yourselves in the ways of your fathers, and do you after their abominations? For when you lift up your gifts and make your sons pass through the fire, and you defile yourselves with all your idols, even to this day, and I shall be inquired of you, O house of Israel, as I live, declares Yahweh, I am not being inquired of by you. And what comes up in your spirit shall never be, when you say, let us be like the Gentiles, and be like the tribes of in the land, served woods and stone. As I live, declares Yahweh, do not I, with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with a wrath poured out and rain over you. And I shall bring you out from the people, and gather you out of the land where you are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with a wrath poured out. And I shall bring you into the wilderness of the people, and you shall enter into judgment with your face to face them. And I entered into judgment with our fathers, with the wilderness of the land of Mizraim, so I shall enter into judgment with you, declares Yahweh. And I shall make you pass under the rod, and shall bring you into the bond of the covenant, and purge the rebel from among you, and those who transgress against you. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Israel, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. As for you, O house of Israel, thus says Yahweh, go serve each of his idol afterwards. And if you are not listening to me, but do not profane my Kodesh name anymore with your gifts and your idols, for my own Kodesh mountain, that on the mountain's height of Israel declares Yahweh. There all houses of Israel, all of them in the land shall serve me. Then there I shall accept them, and there I shall require your offering and the fruits of your offering together with all my Kodesh gifts. As a sweet fragrance I shall accept when I bring you out of the peoples, and I shall gather you out of the land where you have been scattered, and I shall be Kadosh in you before the Gentiles. And no, you shall know that I am Yahweh when I bring you into the land of Israel, in the land for which I lifted my hands in an oath to give to your fathers. And there you shall remember the ways and all your deeds with which you are defiled, and you shall roll yourselves in your own sight because of all the evils that you did. And you shall know that I am Yahweh when I have dealt with you for my name's sake, and not according to the evil ways, nor according to your corrupt deeds, O house of Israel, declares Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, and preach against to the south of and Nabah, against the forest land and Negeb, and you shall say to the forest of the Negeb, hear the word of Yahweh, thus says Yahweh, say, I am kindling a fire in you, and it shall devour every green tree and every dry tree in you, the blazing flame in the quint, and it shall burn all the faces from the south to the north, and all the flesh shall see that I am Yahweh, I have kindled it is not quenched. And I said, Yahweh, they are saying to me, is he not speaking parable? Ezekiel chapter number 21. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, turn your face toward Jerusalem, and preach against the Mikdash and Nabah, against the land of Israel. And you shall say to the land of Israel, thus says Yahweh, I am against you, and I shall draw my sword out of its shield, and cut off from the righteous and the wicked, because I shall cut off from your righteous and the wicked. Therefore my sword shall go out of its sheath against all flesh from the south or to the north, and all shall know that I am Yahweh, have drawn my sword out of its sheath, not to turn back again. And you, the son of man, sigh with a breaking of the loins, and sigh with the bitterness before their eyes. And it shall be, when you say to you, why are you sighing? Then that you shall say, because of the report that is coming, and every heart shall melt, and all the hands shall go limp, and every spirit become faint, and all the knees be weak as waters. See, it is coming, and it shall be, declares Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, Abba, and you shall say, thus says Yahweh, say, a sword is sharpened and also polished. It is sharpened to make a slaughter, it is polished to flash like lightning. Or shall we rejoice? My son, you have despised the rod, every stick, and he has given it into the polish to be taken by the hand. The sword is sharpened and polished, to be given into the hand of yourselves from the left, wherever your edge is appointed. And I too, I shall strike my hands together and cause my wrath to rest. I, Yahweh, have spoken. And the word of Yahweh came to me again, saying, You, son of man, appoint for yourself 2 ways for the sword of the sovereign of Babel to go, both of them coming to, and put in it the heap of the way to the city. Appoint a way to the sword to go to Rabbah of the Ammonites, and to Yehudah into the world of Jerusalem. For the sovereign of Babel stand at the parting of the way, and the fork of the 2 ways, and to the practicing divination he shall shake the arrows, and he shall ask the household idols, he shall look at the rivers. In his right hand it shall be the divination for the Jerusalem. Put the bittering rams to the bud, in that your transgressions are uncovered, so that your sins are seen in your deeds, because you have been remembered, and you are taken out by hands. And to you, O profane wickedness, leader of Israel, whose days has come, in times of wickedness of the end, thus says Yahweh, remove the turban, and thus exalt the humble, and humble the exalted. Overthrown the overthrown, I make it overthrown. It shall be no longer until he comes to whom is it rightly belong, and I shall give it. And you, son of man, Nabah, and say, thus says Yahweh concerning the Ammonites and concerning the reproach, and they shall say, a sword drawn near for slaughtering, polished to the utmost like lightning. While they see false visions for you, while the divine ally to you, to put you in the neck of the profaned one, the wicked ones whose day has come, in the time of the wickedness of the end. Return it to the sheath, in the place where you were created, in the land of your origin. I shall judge you, and I shall pour out my displeasure on you, blow against you with the fire of my wrath, and shall give you into the hands of beastly men, skilled to destroy. You are to be fuel for the fire. Your blood be in the midst of the land. You are not to be remembered, for I am Yahweh. I've spoken. So I show her all her abomination, and you shall cast her this, that says Yahweh, the city shed blood in the midst, that her time might come, and shall say, a made idol within herself to become defiled. You have become guilty to the blood which you have shed, and have defiled yourselves with the idols with which you have made. Thus you have brought the days draw near, and I have come to the end of the year. Therefore I shall make you a reproach to the Gentiles, and a mockery to all the lands. Those near, those far from your mock, you delight in your name, and great the new. They have despised father and mother within you. They have oppressed the stranger in your midst. They have oppressed the fatherless and the widow within you. You have despised despite that which is Kodesh to me, and you have profaned my Sabbath. Slanderous men have been in you to shed blood, and in you are those who eat on the mountains. They have done wickedness in your midst. In you they have uncovered the nakedness of your father. If they have humbled women who are defiled during their uncleanness, and the one have done abomination with his neighbor's wife, and another has wickedly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another within you has humbled his sister, his father's daughter. In you they have taken a bribe to shed blood. You have taken interest and increase. You have cut off your neighbors by exhortation, and you have forgotten me, declares Yahweh. And see, I shall smite my hand because of your great gain which you have made, and at bloodshed at which has been in your midst. Will you here stand? You have remained strong, and in the days I deal with you, I have spoken and shall do it. And I shall scatter among you the Gentiles, and shall despise throughout the land, and shall consume you with filthiness out of you. And you shall profane yourself before the eyes of the Gentiles, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Tin and iron and lead, and in the midst of the furnace they have become a dross of silver. Therefore thus says Yahweh, because of all you have all have become dross, because all of you have become dross. Therefore, see, I am gathering you into the midst of Jerusalem, and they gather silver and bronze and iron and lead and tin in the midst of furnace to blow fire on it to melt it. So I gather you in my day of displeasure. This is the conspiracy of Hanavim in her midst, like a roaring lion tearing the prey. They have devoured life, they have taken treasure of wealth, they have made many widow in her midst. Her Kohanim has made violence to my Torah, and they have profaned my Kodesh matter. They have not distinguished between their eyes from my Shabbatot, and I have profaned in their midst. Her leader in her midst are like wolves tearing the prey, to shed blood and to destroy lives and to get greedy again. And Hanabi have coated them with whitewash, seeing a false nation, a false vision, and even for their life, for them, saying, thus says Yahweh, when Yahweh have not spoken. The people of the land have practiced oppression, have committed robbery, have oppressed the poor and the needy. They have oppressed the strangers without ruling. And I sought for a man among them who would make a wall and stand in the breach in behalf of the land, and that I should not destroy it. But I did not find no one. Therefore I have poured out my displeasure of them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, and I have put their ways on their own head, declares Yahweh.
disciples were squeezed and they on the rulers, and the ones of the near perfectly dressed horsemen riding on horses, and all the desirable young men. And I saw that she was defiled, they both in the same way, but she took increase her whorings, and she looked at men and carved in their will in images and Kadeshim, and in the inscribed in red, and guarded with the belts of around the loyal loins, and the whorings of the turbans of the heads of the looking like the sons of Babel of Kadeshim in the land of the Jabal. And as soon as her saw them, she rusted of them and sent messengers to them in Kadishma, and in the sons of Babel came to her into the bed from them in disguise. And she uncovered her whorings and covered her nakedness. And then I turned my being from her in disguise, as my being has turned from her sister in disguise. And she increased her whorings, remembering the days of her youth, when she hold in the land of Mizraim. And she rusted after her lovers, whose flesh is like the flesh of the donkeys, and whose emission is like an emission of horses. Thus you longed for the wickedness of your youth, when of your youth. Therefore, Ohoriba, thus says the Master Yahweh, see, I am stirring up your lovers against you, and you who you are being turned in this helmet all around, and shall commit the judgments to them, and they shall judge you according to their right rulings. And I shall send my jealousy against you, and they shall deal hatredly with you. They shall cut off your nose and your ears, while the rest of you fall by the sword. Your sons and your daughters they shall take away, while the rest of you shall be consumed with fire. And they shall strip you of your garments, and shall like eyes to them, neither remember Mizraim anymore. For that says the Master Yahweh, see, I am giving you into the hand of them. They shall be deal with you in hatred, and they shall take away all you have worked for, and they shall leave naked, you naked and bare. And the nakedness of your whoring shall be uncovered, and the wickedness of your whoring hand. That says the Master Yahweh. Drink of your sister's cup, and dip of the wine of one, or you being wrapped and mocked, for it is holds much. Be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, and cup of astonishment, and win the cup of your sister Shemeron, and you shall drink it and drain it, and gnaw, and it shall and tear, and all your own beasts. Brace, for I have spoken, declares the Master Yahweh. Therefore, that says the Master Yahweh, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore you shall bear your wickedness and your whorings. And Yahweh said to me, Son of man, judge Ohoriba and Ohoriba, and declare to them the abomination. So they have committed adultery and the blood is on their hands, and they have committed adultery with their idols, and even offered their sons whom they bore to me, passing them through the fire to devour. And they also did this to me. They have defiled my set apart place on the same day, and they have profaned my Sabbaths. For they had slain their children for the idols, and the same day came in my set apart place to profane it. And see, that is what they did in the midst of my house. And they even sent for men to come from afar, in whom the messenger was sent. And see, they came, and from you wash yourself, and painted your eyes, and adorned yourself with ornaments, and you sat on the splendid couch with a table prepared before, on which hand had my incense and my oil. And on the sons of the crowd at ease was with her, and the drunkards were brought the bracelets of their wrists and the pretty crowns of their heads. Then I said concerning the one who out is in adultery, now let them come and commit her whorings, even hers. And they went into her as men go for a woman who is a whore. And thus for they went to Ohora and Oriba, and the wicked women. But the righteous men judge, cut them with their swords. They shall kill their sons and their daughters, and burn their houses with fire. And I shall put an end to the wickedness land, and all the women shall be instructed to commit wickedness to have you done. And they shall put your wickedness, and you shall bear sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am the Master Yahweh.
Ezekiel chapter 24. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, write down the name of the day, for on this same day the sovereign of Babel has thrown himself against Jerusalem. And speak a parable to the rebellious house, and you shall say to them, Thus said the Adon Yahweh, put on a pot, put it on, and also pour water into it. Gather pieces of meat in it, good piece, the thigh and the shoulder, fill it with the choice bones. Take the choice of the flock, also pile bones under it, cook it thoroughly, also let the bones cook in it. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, woe to the city of blood, to the pot in which there is rust, and whose rust has not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, on which no lot has fallen. For her on a shining rock, she did not pour it on the ground to cover it with dust, to stir up wrath and take vengeance. I have put her blood on a shining rock, so that it will not be covered. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, woe to the city of blood, let me also make the pile great, heap on the wood, kindle the fire, cook the meat well, mixing the spices, and let the bones be burned up, and stand it on the coals empty, so that it gets hot, and has wearied herself with sorrows, and her great rust has not gone from her into the fire with her rust. In your filthiness is wickedness, because I have cleansed you, but you are not clean. You shall not be cleansed of your filthiness anymore, till I have caused my wrath to rest upon you. I, Yahweh, has spoken. I shall come and I shall do it. I do not hold back, nor do I pardon, nor do I relent. According to your ways and according to your deeds, they shall judge you, declares Yahweh. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, see, I'm taking away from you the desire of your eyes with one stroke. But do not mourn, nor weep, nor let your tears run down. Groan silently, make no mourning for the dead. Bind your turban on your head, and put your sandals on your feet. Do not cover your upper lip, and do not eat man's bread of sorrow. And I spoke to the people in the morning, and in the evening my wife died. And the next morning I did as I was commanded, and the people said to me, will you explain to us what these matters you are doing mean to us? And I said to them, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Speak to the house of Israel, thus says Yahweh, see, I am profaning my Mikdash, the pride of your strength, the desire of your eyes, and the desire, and they shall fall by the sword. And you shall do as I have done. Do not cover your upper lip, nor eat man's bread of sorrow. And let your turbans remain on your head, and your sandals on your feet. Do not mourn nor weep, but you shall pine away in your wickedness, and groan with one another. And Ezekiel shall be a sign to you. Do according to all that he has done. When this comes, you shall know that I am Yahweh. And you, son of a man, on the day when I take from them their stronghold, the joy of their adorning, the desire of their eyes, and the lifting of their being, their sons and their daughters, on that day one that has escaped shall come to you, to let you hear it with their eyes. And on that day you are who has escaped, and you shall speak and no longer be silent, and you shall be a